Welcome back, y'all, to the Rec Room podcast with Brian Rector. And today, I gotta tell you, it's episode 52. Somehow, some way, we keep rolling along with these things. And I've been blessed by it. I love being able to share stories, be able to tell stories, be able to hear what's going on in the lives of others who are making an impact. And today, it's ironic that we mention impact because this is a guy who I connected with through the Impact Learning Institute. There are a couple different programs that are accessible through that one. UCLA, Anderson School of Management, and then as well, there's an NYU, New York City segment. But Jalen Stubbs is somebody who I'm really honestly have the pleasure of getting to know today. And during the conversation that we've had off camera, and hopefully we'll continue to connect after this one. But I'm really excited because Jalen is somebody who is winning the Mid-Atlantic. I always say my aim is to win the West. I'm trying to win California. I'm trying to win Arizona. I'm trying to win geographically where I'm at. And Jalen has been bouncing up and down from whether it be Maryland, Virginia, the Carolinas, all around the Mid-Atlantic. And so today, it's going to be great to get to know his journey from beginning in the journalism space now to interviewing the likes of Sean Johnson East, Laura Rutledge, and working as a production assistant at NBC in Washington, D.C. So, Jalen Stubbs, thank you for taking the time, and how are you doing?
Brian, thank you for having me, bro. I'm excited for this conversation. This is an honor. I always love sharing my story and talking about where I'm at now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, thank you for being here. Let's begin there, Jalen. Let's start at the impetus, the outset of this thing. Like when you were younger, right? And working on your trajectory of where you were heading. When did it snap into place for you that you could make impact on community, on society, on the country, on the region? When did it connect in your head? When did the dots forge together, man, that the journalistic route would be for you?
Thank you for that question, Brian. So let's date back to my junior year of high school. My mom told me about this journalism class, this journalism writing class, and I always knew I always like to read and write, and so I just took the class, and then boom, I loved it, and I threw sports in there because I wanted to be a sports reporter, and that's where I became like a sports journalist and just an overall journalist myself. And so since then, I've been taking a lot of other classes that's going to help pave the way for that. And I wasn't a big fan of math. I made it up to like algebra 2 or something, but after geometry, I was like, no thanks. So reading and writing has always been my passion. And after taking that class, that's what sparked it even more. And so after that, graduating from Richard Montgomery High School, big IB school in Rockville, Maryland, I went to George Mason University and I didn't start it, but I was part of student media and the Fourth Estate, where I was the sports editor. I was an anchor. I was also a copy editor, managing editor, lots of, lots of writing based stuff. While I was there, I was also the director of communications for the Black Male Success Initiative. And then I was also a student ambassador for the George Mason College of Humanities and Social Science. And so during my time there, all of those things played a role into getting me to where I am currently. Obviously, when you're in student media, you have all the resources that you can get. Thankfully, my senior year, we were able to have a photog because, George Mason is not like bigger schools where you have like Syracuse, NYU, Columbia. You got to use what you have. And I was blessed to have a photog to be able to do more video based stuff because, everybody's looking at this nowadays more than anything else. And so from there, I just soared, man. And then after graduating from George Mason University. I was lucky enough to land a job at NBC Washington in Washington, D.C. at WRC TV as a production assistant. And I was there from October of 2023 through September of 2025. And here I am now at WSLS TV. I'm sorry, WSLS 10 as a full time reporter. And I've been here since mid September.
Wow. Wow. You know,
So
it's
that's
funny.
that's the short version.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I listen to the timeline of how everything's gone down, this new role that you're in at WSLS 10, like that is a relatively recent thing for you. So
Mhm.
I do want to take you back to your time in DC at NBC Washington. Like people always say, Jalen, that the media sector and industry, and particularly breaking into sports, is an extremely difficult thing to do. And oftentimes it won't even result in an outcome that's worth your time.
Mhm.
Why do you feel that it's worth it to pursue this thing with such a vigor and such a volition that you have been working on it? And while you were in DC for those couple years, what did you learn about a major media market in DC? Because I'd imagine that's a little bit of like a pinch me moment of I just leave school and now I'm thrusted into DC. Tell me a little bit about what it was to begin in a place like that.
Well, honestly, it was a blessing. I mean, I don't know how this. I mean, it's a top 10 market in being in Washington D.C., being able to do those things. Um, Obviously, I got to do some sports stuff there, but I also got to do a lot of news there. It made me more versatile as a storyteller.
Mm.
Uh, Going back to George Mason, I was actually covering a lot of the sports there. Obviously, the main one being men's basketball. And so all those skills that I've learned there that I kind of picked up on my by myself and from other mentors that I've had, I carried that to NBC Washington. And I was able to even show some people at NBC Washington how to do certain things. But they've really been, I want to say NBC Washington has really been the foundation of a lot of my success. I learned a lot from a lot of the reporters there, a lot of seasoned reporters there, lots of anchors there. I grew up actually watching that channel. I
Mm.
would get up some mornings. My dad would be off at work. My mom was still in bed, and I would just. She would always have the Today Show on and Channel 4 on, and I would always watch the anchors just do their thing, be their authentic self. And whenever I started there, I was like, wow, I grew up watching these people. Uh, I didn't say that to them because then that's me calling them old. But with their being around people with that much experience really kind of got me going, I want to say. And it gave me opportunities. And I was blessed to actually start at a reasonable time because I started the fall of 2023. That following summer was the Olympics. So that's where I had the opportunity, like you mentioned earlier, to interview people like Sean Johnson East. I even got to interview Alfonso Rubiero with who was
Wow.
on, yeah, on Fresh Prince,
Mhm.
Mr. Not Unusual. So he was great. He was great. So they always do a lot of that was mainly from Capitol Concerts because I used to work with Capitol Concerts uh as like a side gig over the summers. And long story short, I got an in to get all those interviews, and then we were able to use them for a digital for
Mm.
Washington. And what I really loved about it is, and this is the great thing about covering doing news and things like that in DC. A lot of local news in DC will become national news. And so I remember even whenever I was interviewing all these people, Impact Learning Institute gave me a shout out. The Collaborative, another LLC I was with, they gave me a shout out because all of the interviews were in front of the nation's capital. And so it was just a fun time, man. I mean, I have so many memories at NBC Washington, um, from going to Commanders games to covering DC United stuff, DC Spirit. all of the get to interview all these athletes, be at training camps for the Commanders, Wizards, all DC sports, just all over the DMV. And it was really a great kickstart to my career.
Mhm. How often, Jalen, do you think, because being in somewhere like DC, it definitely has a preconceived notion that you can easily get swallowed up as a new journalist and a new reporter in a market that, as you said, is top 10, is so large like that and intimidating and has the political side to it. And there's this whole, whirlpool, I'll call it. But
Mhm.
like, how often do you think about the impact that the platform that you have is able to make in communities that you serve? Is that something that's consciously on your mind? Is that something that you're looking to do, of use your platform and your voice for good and to lift folks up in wherever you're serving?
Most definitely. I mean, coming from DC, I've learned the importance of that. And what you learn, I was never overwhelmed per se. Uh, Part of the reason was because of my position there. I wasn't like a full time reporter there. Because how it works is like they'll just send us to different markets as you work your way back up to the market. So I don't want to say I was too overwhelmed, but it gave me a taste, if you will, of what to expect when hopefully I'll return there or maybe go to an even larger market. So as far as like make putting my voice out there and making that impact, I learned the importance of it, and the stories that I've heard there, and even here now where I'm at, I mean, it humbles you. It really does humble you, and learning those things, it brings more emotion to your storytelling. It gives you a reason to tell these stories, things that need to be heard. One thing that we're doing now at my job, or that we talk about now, is actually getting real people for interviews. No government officials, no public information officers, no policemen, no sheriffs, just real people in your community. I go out and interview real people in my community all the time. That's what they did at NBC Washington. I do that here now in Roanoke, Virginia. But at NBC Washington, uh, it gives you a better understanding of how to tell a story. I'm sorry, it gave me a better understanding of how to tell a story. And hearing real voices, you're going to get the real deal. When you speak to officials, they're only going to tell you what they want you to know, what they want you to hear. It's kind of like going on social media, right? You turn on the TV. I know you watch the news. I know you watch the sports, everything. But on if you open up Instagram, TikTok, Reels, even Twitter, even on Twitter, they're gonna give you like a real perspective of their voice, of their story. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it brings up another one. Why, on a societal level, why does storytelling matter so much? I would argue that storytelling and true journalism and exploring both sides to a multi or all sides of a multifaceted story matters almost more than ever because of what you just said. Because echo chambers and one-way streets of information and knowledge and opinion are so common. Like, why does storytelling matter right now?
Storytelling matters right now because it's educational. I mean, you look at the state of the world, and I mean, I wasn't trying to get too much into politics, but it just kind of struck me when you asked, like, when you look at the state of the world, people want to know what's going on. You can only get so much on linear television. But like I said earlier, when we wake up, what do we check first? Do we check the TV or do we check this?
Mm-hmm.
This is so powerful. I like using this for everything. You can get so much information from this. And even when you're recording videos, it looks better on TV. That's a different conversation though. But it's important to tell these stories because we all just need to be educated more on things, and it's about seeing a different side, seeing a perspective. You get to get through. see the lens from your community, from other people, not just what you see on TV, not just what you maybe even read in a book. I like to think of it as like world travel almost. I mean, let me see, dating back to like September timeframe, 2024 or October, one of those two. I was in Spain and France. I did a cruise over there with my cousin. Fun times. And then last summer I was in the Philippines. So it's like again, like one of the greatest educations in life is hearing from other people who have those experiences, not just seeing what people want you to know. Being there. In breaking news, you see us at the fight. You see us at the hit and run. You see us at the shooting. And even in sports, like, you see the sideline reporters there talking to the players, the coaches, talk to some fans. How do they feel? Hey, do you think this is LeBron's last year? Or, how does that make you feel? What do you think this means for the Lakers? Or I can use the Commanders, for instance, like Jaden Daniels, his first year. I mean, everybody knows about it. It's crazy. And I think he went to Arizona State, right? He did. Yeah, so you know all about Jaden Daniels, I'm sure. I'm sure you know thick and thin, probably more than I do. But, I was there for that Hail Mary game. You want to ask the fans like, hey, how does this feel as a Commanders fan seeing what Jaden Daniels is doing for this franchise that hasn't been done in over 33 years? How does that make you feel? I can ask Jaden Daniels, hey, how does this make you feel? Like I know what answer he's gonna give me, but I want to know how the community feels about it as well. The Commander community, for instance. How does that make them feel? Seeing so much success, like just 2 games shy of winning a Super Bowl. Can you believe that in your first year? And I'm excited for that team. I'm excited for I was still at NBC Washington at the time, but
Mhm.
that's why again, it's important to put news out there because it's education.
Yeah, that's certainly right. And I think you hit something, Jalen, that's a really important discussion point, is that your perspective can shift and change based on the experiences you have. So
Mhm.
you had just really right then informed me that you've been able to travel around the world. You've been able to see things from that different lens. Have you seen improvement in your skills, in your interviewing, in your mindset, in your attitude based on going and having these otherworldly experiences?
Most definitely. Most definitely. And I guess the best way for me to explain this is when you're in some parts of the world where it's not what you expect, it's not what you see on TV, it humbles you. It humbles you because you're living in that space. I was in the Philippines for 3 weeks and I was living in, not living, but I was staying in some of the third world country parts. And it's not at all what I expected. And I saw like what some of the people living there go through. And it's like, I didn't grow up in that environment at all. I was born and raised in America. I'm full blown American. And so that definitely helped my interview skills, my social skills, because when you meet other people from all over the world, you're still able to be your authentic self, but still learn from them. And so you know how to approach those conversations moving forward to when you make that move again, traveling the world and things like that.
Mhm.
So, we were to date back to I used to work in a shoe store. I used to work at Fleet Feet Running. And I think that alone helped me. Working in retail helped me with my interviewing skills because I would just ask people about this shoe, like, "Hey, do you like this shoe? How does it feel? Do you think this is something that will last long in a marathon or whatever?" Just things like that. And it hits you at first, but over time, like I'll go and do stories. I already know what to ask, what to talk about. A lot of times it just comes natural as you keep getting those reps.
Mm.
For doing it for I don't want to say I'm nowhere near a long time, but for a little while now, I kind of get a sense of how to approach a lot of things whenever I do interviews. One trick that I have is focusing on a specific angle. And maybe if I get an answer like, oh, I know that you mentioned this. And that's what we're doing right now, actually. When you talked about how the impact I want to make on the community and the points that I made about traveling the world, that was another topic of discussion. And so
Yes.
that's how I approach all my interviews.
Man. Yes, sir, dude. What is the most compelling interview that you've ever done?
I'm going to say it was college basketball. It was a college George Mason basketball game. And I was in the press room. And I think there was like two or three home games that same week. I'm not sure where we were in the season just yet. This might have been right before the A10 tournament. But I asked the coach like, hey, what changes have you made from the last game? And he didn't have an answer for me, even though the game was like 48 hours ago. Now, obviously, he's not really thinking about that. But in that moment, I didn't really know what else to ask. Now I would know, of course, because maybe I can ask like a follow up question to that current game that happened then. But the reason why I asked that was because I can't remember. I don't think they won that game, the first one that I was talking about, and maybe he just didn't want to think about it. And so sometimes being in those settings, I just try to find a way to wing it. Um, I want to say, honestly, I've had a lot of compelling interviews, but that would take a lot of time for me to think about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's one that I mean, I think about to this day. I mean, I know it was only a couple years ago, but I still think about it and I'm just thinking to myself, like, was there another way I could have asked that? Or should I just have asked a completely different question?
Mm.
And
Hmm.
as journalists, Brian, we'll always get in those situations. And you shouldn't feel discouraged about it. You're still doing your job at the end of the day. You're asking questions. We're curious. As journalists, we're supposed to be curious, right? The main thing is, and that's why I talk about my strategy, finding an angle to answers that you get.
Yes.
But he didn't, I mean, he just didn't have an answer for me. So I want to say that one, maybe another one could probably be about a time where maybe not. I have to do some digging.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the sounds of it, I mean, you've been in so many different interview settings that I
Correct.
believe
Yeah.
that I believe it would be difficult to piece together, hey, here's a couple, one, two, here's what I'm thinking about. I will say this. This isn't my own experience, but it's one that I resonated with a great deal. One of my best friends out here in Arizona, Blake Neiman, shout out my guy, Blake Neem, bro. Blake graduated from Walter Cronkite ASU, and then he got a job as a sports reporter at Fox 10 Phoenix, and right out the chute. And so he was covering the Fiesta Bowl in the college football playoff this year. And Jalen, this was insane, dude. I was sitting at a Buffalo Wild Wings eating a patty melt, and, and I'm watching the game on TV, and Blake, at the end of the game, everybody's flying onto the field. ESPN's getting an interview with Cristobal and with whoever else they can get. I watch Blake hawk down Michael Irvin on the big screen. And then I I know. I'm like, this is
All
crazy. Like,
people.
yeah, I know. And Mike's just walking by, his larger than life personality. Blake walks up to him and goes, "Hey, Michael, what are your thoughts about Miami winning this game right now?" And in 2 seconds, they had a 2 minute clip, and Blake, I think, had 500,000 views on this clip that he posted on a reel. It's just like your career can change in an instant because
Can.
of the willingness to go out and hunt a shot and
Yes.
hunt an answer. Crazy,
Yes.
man. Crazy,
And
crazy,
that
crazy.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something I want to encourage all journalists. Just go out and ask for it. I mean, go hunting for those stories.
Right.
That probably changed his career forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about the views. That was just off of it was probably off of his phone, right? On social
Yep.
media. Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
That's right.
That's all it takes. At times, when we're working in news, we have to carry these big ancient cameras
Right.
or like a little GoPro, which is great. It's good. It's good for linear television, but then also, it's shifting to digital. And
Right.
this is something I've been studying for quite some time now. I mean, like you can ask any reporter, where do you think news is heading within the next 5 years or by like 2030, and you've probably seen it now. It's all going to digital. Social media is
Yes. Totally.
ex- exploding with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy for your friend because he was in a setting, he took a risk. He took a great risk because he was in an intense setting, interviewing somebody with an intense personality, and he wasn't afraid. And I encourage that for networking as well. Don't focus on the outside distractions. If you want to introduce yourself, they're human just like you. They can be a celebrity, yes, but they're still human. Go up and introduce yourself. You never know what a small conversation can get you to. It helped me a lot. I do that all the time.
Yes.
I encourage everybody who wants to get into this business and really excel to do that. And they say it's about who you know. It's also about who knows you.
Oh man.
Irving to be saying good things about your friend in a room that
Yes.
your friend isn't in.
Yes. Wow, man. That was it right there. That's huge. That is huge. What's a quest that you're going on? What's a goal that you're trying to hit throughout this calendar year, 2026? What are you headed to, man?
To be honest,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just honestly, I mean, the biggest thing is improve as a storyteller. There are a lot of things I'm great at, a lot of things that I'm good at, and a lot of things that need a lot of improvement. Um, really improving bettering my skills as a storyteller, and then seeing what other opportunities are out there. I know like this fall, I'm probably going to be, out looking for seeing what's out there for more opportunities with my role. Hopefully, shifting more towards the sports side of things. Um, so I mean that's probably my biggest goal with my career, and I'm kind of keeping this on the wraps right now. But I will be making a big trip in May. You'll see because I'll post about it, but it'll be an exciting trip, and then possibly another one in October. But I have to see where I am as far as money because rent comes first.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So those are like some big things coming up. Uh, I've always wanted to give back. I always give back to George Mason. I want to say shortly after graduating, actually, I emceed a community catalyst event with somebody else, and that was really fun. But I want to be in a position where I can do things like that consistently and
Yeah.
give back to who gave me these resources, who believed in me, and even to my previous jobs as well. I want to be able to give back to them, maybe one day work for them again, and things like that. So I want to build up to this year. I want to build myself to get in that position, to work my way to all those things.
Got
So
it.
it's a long list of things, but those are probably the biggest things. My biggest goals for this year, and really just expanding my brand.
Okay. Okay.
My
Yeah.
brand, really getting my name out there for more people. I did all I could in the DMV and in DC and things like that, but I want to expand all over the country, maybe even all over the world.
Right.
See where it goes.
Do
So,
you have an Dude, I'm so serious. I was about to end the interview because I was like, we've gone through a lot of good stuff. Now I can't because of what you just left me with. That was like
Yeah.
I'm landing a plane and I had to pull that thing up, dude. Here we go again.
Hmm.
Uh, that's tremendous. Like, do you have an approach to social media? And how much have you thought about, using Instagram, using LinkedIn, using these platforms to expand your brand to that national and to that global stage? What does that look like in your head working that out as far as posting content, pushing content, and getting it in front of more people?
Honestly, kind of like what you're doing, Brian. Just putting all your interviews out there, putting them on social media. Um, I typically like to post more of like what I do on like LinkedIn and Twitter. Instagram is more like my personal life. I still post about what I do on Instagram, but what I really like to do as far as using these, my big three, if you will, are is Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. But it might switch to Facebook eventually because of my current job, because we have to like use Facebook groups and all that.
I
So
see.
I'm just gonna be more active on it,
Mm-hmm.
which I have mixed feelings about that. I'm sure you do too.
Yes.
But but what I want to do, I want to be in a position where people know me for outside of like what I do, and they respect me for things that I do outside of what I do.
Got it.
Um, for not just what I do, but who I am. You know, Jalen Stubbs, yes, a reporter, but Jalen Stubbs is also Jalen Stubbs. And that's kind of what I use Instagram for. LinkedIn, I always post stuff with the intention of getting noticed. Well, don't get me wrong. I definitely do this on Instagram. LinkedIn, I post with the intention of like posting a resume for hirees, anyone who's looking for somebody.
Yes.
I always post with the intention of showcasing my work, showcasing what I'm capable of, showcasing all the work that I've done, all the accomplishments and things like that. Again, I can do this on Instagram, but LinkedIn is more formal, if you will.
Mhm.
And surprisingly, I always get a lot of attention on LinkedIn for things like that. My trick was because I remember asking one of my mentors back at George Mason, shout out Philip Wilkerson III. He told me that just this was his strategy. Spend 10 minutes on LinkedIn every day, just scrolling through, engaging in content. And then in a year, you're gonna see that alone grow. You'll be surprised. I don't know how it worked, but it worked. It worked. So and then I'm trying to get my Twitter back up. I don't have much of a presence on Twitter just yet. But as far as like if I'm going out to like I remember I did a George Mason game. A lot of my George Mason stuff was on LinkedIn and Twitter. A lot of my stand-ups, a lot of the work that I've done in the past there. You're gonna find that on my LinkedIn and Twitter.
I
So
see.
I did the I know I did the homecoming game recently. It's 3.5 hours away, but hey, sometimes it's worth the drive, and I can go home on weekends to do that. So because I live close enough.
Yeah.
So that's worked out. So that's kind of like how I want to use Instagram for everything. Who I am, what I do, what I've done, everything.
Yes.
LinkedIn is more so strictly with what I do, and Twitter is more so with what I do as well. But the biggest thing that I want to grow obviously is Instagram, and then the rest will follow.
Mm,
Another thing is like when you're trying to grow all of these accounts, they're all linked together. Someone's
totally.
gonna find you that way. Um, I mean, I know you found me through Instagram and LinkedIn because you probably just found the names. So that's usually how it goes. If you
Totally.
grow, one, the other has to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, Jalen Stubbs, thank you. I'm really glad we went to that last question because that was fruitful, man. That came out well. I really appreciate your time. on the Rec Room, episode 52. And Jalen, I think that we got to have a follow up. And I also think that I got to come on your show, man. So we'll make all that work. We'll stay on the horn and really appreciate you.
I definitely got you on the list. I have a lot of people lined up that
Yeah,
my schedule is just always out the window, but
totally.
I'm gonna get you on the show eventually. We're gonna make that
My
happen.
guy. My
We're gonna
guy.
make
Hey,
that happen.
regardless, we'll stay on the horn, man. And I want to continually hear about what you're up to and just appreciate you for being charitable with your time, for giving us a good run at your story here. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian. It's been my honor. Thank you.
Uh,
And can I ask you a
absolutely.
question?
Yes, you can.
What are your goals for this year?
Wow, dude. Okay, so there's a couple. One, I'm really excited. Wow, excuse me. I'm excited to start in the law program at ASU. That's a major one. That was something that has been on my agenda as a hopeful since October, and now it's here in front of me. So I'm super excited about that to network and apply a lot of the principles that we talked about today.
Mhm.
Then I'm definitely in a position, excuse me, in a position where I'm working on my physical health. I think I have about, 40 lbs to lose, so I want to incrementally get those off. That's something that I'm super fired up about and really like beginning a good path, I think, to do that recently. So that's a couple weeks now of change that is, beginning. Um, and then I would say being more present with my family. Like, I have always been one where I've been focused on that next opportunity. I've been traveling over here. I've been seeing these friends. I've been doing this interview, getting this opportunity. But what that's meant, Jalen, is that I've neglected my innermost circle, which are my parents, my family life. And so, actually, here in the very near future, I'm driving to Palm Springs, California to go spend a few days with them and kind of recenter and settle down. So I would say, yeah, 2026, that's got to be a big push because for the last number of years, it certainly didn't help that I left from Oregon to Michigan to go to school. So they were all still back on the West Coast, and I wasn't for 9 to 10 months of the year.
Mhm.
But that's, I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm trying to be accountable for the fact that now I have more of a vessel to change that. And so I've seen that as something I want to get better at. And that's like honestly, probably shoot, if I had to tell you, priority number one for 26 is building that stronger bond between my immediate circle. So
Good for you, man. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for
man,
you. I'm
thank
glad
you.
again, I'm glad you got into the program and it looks like you have everything mapped out and you have what you need to utilize those goals. I'm excited for you.
Dude, thank you. Thank you. We're headed in the right direction. I will say this, for me, like, and we won't get too long here, but here's the way it went down is like, I was so fixated on going to Michigan State that what
Hmm.
I realized is when I left, I had lost such a significant part of my identity that for a few months I kind of didn't really know who I was or where I was going. That was a hard deal over the summer of 2025, not having that goal and that drive in my heart anymore, right? Like I'm looking over here at my wall, I'm seeing the diploma, like, that was no longer a chase that I was on. So rebuilding that, super glad to be in the position that we are now of, like you said, I don't have everything mapped out, but the next steps are there. And I think it's, bound to make a really good, really strong foundation.
It only takes one step closer. That's it. You're closer than you were before. That's all that's
Yes.
important. And Brian, always remember to seriously like be this is something that my mentors would always tell me. Just be your authentic self. Don't worry about all those outside distractions. If someone is, I don't know, say if you're in a corporate setting and someone gets a promotion or someone gets a new role that you wanted and you were there longer, or if you feel like someone's just doing better than you overall, don't worry about those outside distractions. Just remember why you are there and your purpose. That's the biggest thing. As long as you're being your authentic self, it'll take you to further heights than you would possibly imagine.
Hmm.
So
Dude.
just remember that. Always remember.
Dude, well articulated, baby. Well articulated. The Rec Room, episode 52 with Jalen Stubbs. We appreciate y'all stopping in to the Rec Room, and we're excited to keep the Rec Room rolling on. Thanks.
Thank you.